Munich in mourning. Families and friends paid tribute to the 9 people shot dead in a city shopping centre as police revealed details of the killer. Good evening. As Germany expresses its sorrow over the mass shooting in Munich yesterday, police have talked for the first time about the young man responsible, a teenager, just 18, a loner with psychiatric problems, obsessed with mass shootings, and they say with an obvious link to the Norwegian killer Anders Breivik. We have the latest. Also tonight, 2 deadly blasts have killed 80 people and wounded more than 230 as Islamist militants attack a peaceful protest in the Afghan capital, Kabul. Call Me, Corbyn's supporters hit the phones to drum up support for his bid to stay as Labour leader, as he denies claims he's not doing enough to tackle abuse in the party. And another kind of momentum as Mo Farah sets the world's fastest time over 5,000 metres this year, just a fortnight ahead of the Rio Olympics. He was just 18 with a history of psychiatric problems, but the young gunman, unofficially named as David Ali Somboli, killed 9 people at a Munich shopping centre before turning his weapon on himself. He had been born and raised in Munich and had no links to the self-styled Islamic State group, but he carried out his attack on the 5th anniversary of the Anders Breivik attacks in Norway. Paul McNamara's report contains images some viewers may find distressing.
The aftermath of a massacre that claimed the lives of mostly teenagers. Clutching a picture of the son he will never see again, Naeem Zabeya arrived at the Olympia shopping centre today and laid flowers where his child died. At 20 years old, Digimant was one of the oldest victims. Fear descended on the entire city of Munich last night as rumours of a terror attack carried out by multiple gunmen circulated. But the truth was far simpler. Armed with a single handgun, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, a lone 18-year-old changed countless lives forever. From the McDonald's he moved to a shopping centre, killing 9 people along the way, the youngest just 13 years old. One brave onlooker filmed this exchange and asked what his motives were. This was his reply. The gunman has been named in German media as David Ali Somboli, born and bred in Munich. According to the police, he had no links to the self-styled Islamic State and no political affiliations. A raid of his home unearthed documents and articles about frenzied attacks and a book called Why Students Kill. The Munich chief of police said Somboli appeared to be obsessed with shooting rampages. He had also previously received psychiatric treatment, including for depression. But police are investigating possible links to Norwegian right-wing mass murderer Anders Breivik. Yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of his rampage that killed 77. Today, neighbours described Somboli as a quiet boy. This neighbour saw him just hours before the attack.
We always said hello to each other, but never anything more. But yesterday I got a Red Bull from the cafe and smoked a cigarette. I saw him with his father. He didn't even look at me, didn't say hello. He just went away. I thought to myself, what's wrong with this guy?
The shockwaves from these gunshots were felt across Europe. There was a minute's silence before today's leg of the Tour de France. Angela Merkel said the entire nation was grieving.
We are all mourning with a heavy heart for those who will never return to their families. To the families, parents and children for whom everything now seems empty and meaningless, I say personally, and in the name of many, many people in Germany, we share your pain, we're thinking of you, and we're suffering with you.
10 killed, including the gunman, 27 injured, and the question looming, just how was an 18-year-old able to get hold of this lethal weapon and hundreds of bullets?
Paul McNamara reporting. Islamic State militants have claimed responsibility for a double suicide bomb attack which killed at least 80 people in the Afghan capital, Kabul. 2 separate deadly blasts. This is the moment the second struck. It all began so differently. A peaceful protest over power supply in the Afghan capital. Members of the country's Shia Hazara minority, which makes up about 9% of the population, had turned out in their thousands to protest against the route of a planned electricity line. Only a third of Afghanistan is connected to electricity, and residents wanted the new lines to serve their districts. The authorities had blocked roads to prevent protesters reaching the city centre or the presidential palace, but they proved an easy target for the two suicide bombers, later claimed as Islamic State fighters, who said they detonated their explosive belts amid the crowd, killing more than 80 and injuring over 200. The government had warned the marchers to stay at home.
Today we came out asking for justice very peacefully, but last night the government had warned us that if you come out they will kill you, and today they killed us.
The Taliban deny any involvement, but the bombing is the capital's deadliest since April, when over 60 people were killed. And this latest attack could mark a major escalation of Islamic State's reach within Afghanistan, having previously been confined to a province to the east of Kabul. The Labour leadership election has come down to a battle between two men, but it was the role and treatment of women that was top of the agenda in today's exchanges, after more than 40 women Labour MPs wrote to Jeremy Corbyn, demanding he do more to tackle threats being made by some of his supporters. Mr Corbyn stressed there was no place for abuse in the party, while his rival, Owen Smith, promised that at least half of any Labour team led by him would be women. Here's Jane Deave.
The next Labour leader and the next Prime Minister, Jeremy Corbyn.
Taking to the stage in Salford, the man under attack from rebel MPs got a rock-star welcome from his rapturous faithful. But he had, again, to tackle claims he's failed to stop some supporters bullying his opponents.
I don't do any personal abuse of anybody at any time, ever. Where there are disagreements in our party, we settle them through democratic means. No coups, no intimidation, no abuse.
His challenger was in South London. Surrounded by women, Owen Smith pledged half of the party's top jobs for women. But he admitted many entering the party feel like they're entering a bear pit.
It has been absolutely heartbreaking to see our party, the party of tolerance and equality, engaged in a political discourse that is just so extraordinarily ugly. I am going to do something about it. I'm going to introduce a high-level task force in the Labour Party to look at precisely what it is we should do in order to absolutely stamp out this sort of abuse.
Angela Eagle has gone from leadership candidate to cancelling constituency surgeries following a death threat and a brick through a window. Of course, if it wasn't for Owen Smith, this would have been her leadership launch.
Do you feel any guilt at bumping her out of the leadership race?
I don't think it's a question of guilt. I think many people in this room, myself included, love Angela as a great Labour leader, someone who's been a real pioneer in our party for many, many years. And people also felt that Angela had been incredibly brave in putting herself forward because she, like I, feel that the Labour Party is in danger of being destroyed.
The Labour leader's hand of friendship has not been accepted.
Jeremy Corbyn has called for a kinder, gentler type of politics. But now he finds himself accused of not doing enough to prevent a culture of hatred inside the Labour Party. 44 of his female MPs have written him an open letter saying that as his critics, they've suffered death and rape threats, smashed cars and bricked through windows. And they claim these things are being done in Jeremy Corbyn's name.
It is quite clear that some of the groups who are campaigning in the name of Jeremy are employing tactics which are making a number of MPs, particularly female MPs, quite fearful.
But these supporters bashing the phones to keep Corbyn in say the abuse is not one-sided.
I don't think Jeremy Corbyn supporters are entirely to blame. There are many that are incredible and so positive.
But it's not just Jeremy Corbyn who also gets death threats. It's also lots of people on the left who have also been given death threats. This is the nature, unfortunately, of social media and the anonymity that it allows.
As well as rapture, you can expect more rancour before Labour chooses its leader in September.
Jane Death reporting there. Holidaymakers travelling across the Channel via Dover have suffered up to 12 hours of delays because of heightened security checks by French border control officials. Many were stranded in their cars overnight on the gridlocked A20, with delays continuing throughout the day. The spokesman for the Port of Dover Authority said it had previously raised concerns with the French about staffing levels over a busy holiday weekend. Sport now, and Mo Farah has given British athletics a pre-Olympics boost with an impressive 5,000 metres victory in the anniversary games in London. Just 2 weeks ahead of the start in Rio, he set the world's fastest time over the distance this year. Our sports reporter Jordan Jarrett-Bryan was watching.
Peacock in 6. Paralympic champion Johnny Peacock tends to peak when it matters. With rival Richard Brown out of the Rio Games through injury, it's now another American, Jared Wallace, that appears to be the main threat in preventing Peacock retain his gold medal.
And he's got a smile on his face. He knows that this was a one-off.
Another champion looking to make her mark ahead of Rio, Hannah Cockcroft, has made herself the sprinter to beat. Fortunately for her and Britain, it rarely happens. The man with the guns and literally legs of steel stole the show on day 2. Richard Whitehead broke the world record without even looking like he'd left second gear.
Second attempt, 6:18 in the first round.
Jessica Ennis-Hill's season hasn't gone as well as she'd have liked and was leaving these anniversary games with plenty of work to do over the next fortnight. But one of her main rivals is fellow Brit Katarina Johnson-Thompson, who with the season's best jump took first place in the long jump. With Usain Bolt's work done for the weekend, the star attraction was now Mo Farah. It wasn't the strongest competition for the double Olympic champion, but this was about fine-tuning his runs ahead of the main event. But being the showman he is, he decided to go one step further, obliterating the competition and winning in record time.
Cycling, and Britain's Chris Froome is set to win the Tour de France for the third time. The Team Sky rider held on to his overall lead in the penultimate stage of the race, which finished in Morzine this afternoon. Froome's lead will not be challenged in tomorrow's final stage from Chantilly to Paris, which is traditionally a procession. The Kenyan-born rider is only the 8th man to win the Tour de France 3 times. Cricket, and a double century from Joe Root has put England in a strong position on the second day of the second test against Pakistan at Old Trafford. The Yorkshireman compiled his highest ever score of 254 to help the home side to reach 589 for 8 declared. And they've already taken a Pakistan wicket. A short time ago, Pakistan were 36 for 1 in reply. Formula One, and Nico Rosberg will start in pole position for tomorrow's Hungarian Grand Prix after a dramatic qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton seemed certain to clinch first place on the grid, but was forced to abandon his final lap after Fernando Alonso spun off the track. Rosberg went on to set the fastest time, claiming pole position ahead of Hamilton. We're back tomorrow at 7:30, but until then, that's Channel 4 News. Good evening.